But we have a lot of other news to get to. President Trump is facing more backlash over his handling of the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. A growing number of Republicans and high-profile MAGA supporters are expressing outrage after the Trump administration declined to release more case files. In a stunning shift, the House Speaker and staunch Trump ally Mike Johnson is adding his voice to the chorus of Republicans demanding answers. And in the Senate, at least 2 Republicans are signaling that they would support calling Epstein's convicted accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, to testify before Congress. So for more on this, I want to bring in attorney Dave Aronberg. He's a former state attorney for Palm Beach County, Florida. He also ran against Pam Bondi, the Attorney General for Florida Attorney General, and served as her drug czar. Dave, first, thank you for the time. But I'm curious, sir, what do you make of this backlash to President Trump and Attorney General Bondi over the Epstein files?
Alex, one of the animating forces of MAGA has been the conspiracy theory that Jeffrey Epstein didn't die because of a suicide, that he was part of a Democratic cabal, a sex trafficking ring where Bill Clinton and Bill Gates and all these other Democrats are part of it. So this is a core theory of MAGA. Donald Trump exploited that, and now the chickens are coming home to roost because the individuals, Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, who perpetuated these lies, are now in power, and they have to come clean to their people, and their people have turned on them. This is what happens when you continually feed the alligator. The alligator is always hungry, and eventually it'll bite your face off. So now we have Dan Bongino saying, I'm upset, I may quit, and blaming Pam Bondi. But really, what is he upset about? He signed on to the memo that Pam Bondi put out. I think he's just upset that his own supporters have turned on him, and so he wants to point the finger elsewhere, naturally at the Attorney General.
Well, that gator metaphor is not lost on me, given that you're from Florida, but I appreciate the imagery. But listen, you were talking about feeding the gator. In February, Attorney General Bondi said an alleged Epstein client list was, quote, sitting on my desk right now for review. I mean, that fed a lot of this, right?
Yes, and I will give her the benefit of the doubt and say that she misspoke, because she later came back and said she was referring to the Epstein file, not the client list, because there is no client list. But that just fed the flames. And so that's one reason why people are upset at her. And, that's fair. But in the end, there is no client list. Epstein killed himself. Now, there is evidence that there are others, there's third parties out there who were involved in this, and perhaps they should be prosecuted. But the DOJ apparently believes there's not enough evidence. But this thing is not going away. And you have Mike Johnson even taking the unusual step of turning on Trump in a way, up to a point. Ultimately, Donald Trump runs the party. They will eventually fall in line, because there's an old adage, Alex, Democrats fall in love, Republicans fall in line.
Well, and I have to ask you, because you said it so emphatically, I mean, why do you believe so strongly that there is no client list?
There's never been any evidence of any client list. Even the people closest to this investigation who were from the outside, meaning the reporters who dug deep, they say there's no client list. And his lawyer, Alan Dershowitz, says there's no client list, but there's evidence of third parties involved. And after all, there must be third parties involved, because what was Ghislaine Maxwell accused of? Well, sex trafficking to whom? So there are third parties. The question is, can you prove it? And the fact that Donald Trump's name is associated with Jeffrey Epstein definitely complicates things. And I think that's one of the reasons why his team doesn't want to talk about this any further. There's no indication that Trump actually was part of any sex trafficking ring, but just being affiliated with this guy, as a former friend of this guy, is not good. And as far as that client list, there is no client list, but there's other evidence out there. And by the way, if you're Jeffrey Epstein, you don't create a client list. It's not like this is a movie where you put all the names of all your clients on a list that's easily accessible by others. If there was such a list, Ghislaine Maxwell would have given it up to save herself, and she did not.
That's an interesting point. Well, and I think big picture here, there are a lot of questions about whether or not Attorney General Bondi will survive this. Do you think that she's able to weather the storm now that she's facing calls to resign over this?
I think she will survive this, because the most important thing for President Trump is loyalty. And there's no one more loyal to him than Pam Bondi. And her loyalty, because I do know the Attorney General very well. As you correctly said, I ran against her, and then she hired me as her drug czar. Her loyalty is real. This is not like the Lindsey Graham type loyalty, the transactional type loyalty you see in D.C. This is someone who has a genuine affinity for the president, and he's not going to find that with any replacement. So she's not going anywhere.
Well, the other thing, President Trump said yesterday that the Justice Department should release any, quote, credible evidence related to its investigation of Epstein. Doesn't that just kind of add a little bit of fuel to the fire here, or more people are just going to want more info about this?
Yes, yes. Even though I do think ultimately his supporters will largely fall in line, this story is not going away because this was a core part of the MAGA world. It's this conspiracy theory. And when you build up your political career on conspiracy theories, President Obama was born in Kenya, all these different things that are going on, like the election was stolen, all these false conspiracy theories, then once a core one is officially debunked, then your supporters are not going to like it. And they're going to think perhaps you're part of it. So they're going to need some calming down. They're going to have to come back into the fold. And I think eventually they will. But, they should just get over the fact that they were lied to. They were given false promises. And in the end, they were made to look like fools.
All right. Dave Aronberg, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Alex.